When you lose a tooth and there's a hole in your mouth, should I do a bridge? Should I do an implant? Do you really have to floss? You only have to floss the teeth that you want to keep. The best brush is the one that you're using. Honestly, cheeky answer. Dentures need to be a last resort. Kind of like pulling your teeth. We don't want to give you a denture unless we absolutely have to.
Floss, floss, floss.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of What the Floss. Thank you for joining me today. Today I wanted to go through some of my most asked questions. What have you been asking me? Okay, so that's a great question. I actually get this one quite a bit from new parents especially. So when your child gets their first tooth, which is before the age of 1, that's really when you need to come in and visit your dentist. So the youngest I've ever seen a patient is 3 weeks old, and that was for a tongue tie release. So this little infant had trouble nursing at a very new age. And so we had the infant into the office, we released that tongue tie, and then the infant was able to suckle again and be able to eat. So the youngest, as early as 3 weeks, but realistically 1 year for most people. At that 1 year visit, we do a lap exam where we'll sit knee to knee. I'll sit knee to knee with the parent, and then we lay the child back on my lap, and we make it a little game of going up and down. And then if they get irritable or irritated at that and they start to cry, that's actually a good thing in that dental office for that first visit. And it's very brief that they're going to cry, but that allows me to look all the way down their throat. It lets me see the roof of their mouth, check their overall growth and development. And while you're in the office, I'll give you a few tips of what to do as far as feeding times go, what types of foods, what types of bottles, what types of sippy cups, what are the milestones that you need to hit to best enhance their growth and development. So definitely by the age of 1. Oh my gosh, I hear this all the time from my parents when I say, your child has a cavity, and they say, oh, they're 7 or 8 and it's on a baby tooth and it's going to fall out anyway. Do I really have to fix it? And I have to say, yeah, the baby teeth are in there for a very important reason. The most important reason baby teeth are in your mouth is so that they're holding the space for your adult tooth that's developing underneath it. So when the baby tooth is in your mouth like this and the adult tooth is growing underneath it, if we take out the baby tooth, then the adult tooth gets crowded out because all of the teeth behind that tooth are going to crowd in its place and not allow, it's going to trap that adult tooth in place. So we don't want to take out the baby tooth unless they're, if they're 11 years old and we're only going to keep that baby tooth until they're 12, then by all means, let's take it out because that adult tooth is right there and ready to come in. We're not going to lose space. But if they're 7 or 8, then it's really important to go ahead and fix that cavity, put that stainless steel crown on there if that's what it needs, and save that baby tooth. So finances are a big deal in dentistry, right? Everything is very, very expensive. Even if you have dental insurance, it's very expensive to do basic dental care. So if you can't afford to fix your tooth with either a large filling, a small filling, or put a crown on it, or a root canal, anything that it takes to save it, then yes, you can pull your tooth as a last resort. But understand that once you take that tooth out, all the bone and tissue that was holding that tooth in place is going to start to remodel, and it's going to shrink away. A tooth is an anchor for the bone. So when you take that anchor out, the bone is going to shrink in height, it's going to shrink in width, and it's going to shrink in density. So to put something in its place down in the future is going to make it a little bit more expensive and a little bit more difficult because you're going to need additional forms of grafting in order to rebuild that jawbone where that tooth has been gone. So take out the tooth if you can't afford it as a very last resort, or if that tooth is not savable, because whatever God gave you is better than what I can replace it with. The best brush is the one that you're using, honestly, cheeky answer, but a power brush is really the best option. So when you are at the dentist, we use that little rotating polishing cup, and we use a prophy paste to rub on all your teeth. And that really gets all the plaque off, and it tucks just below the gum line, which is the whole idea of a brush in the first place. Technically, you don't need to use toothpaste on a daily basis. You do have to use a toothbrush. A toothpaste leaves your mouth minty fresh. It does give you a little bit more fluoride on your teeth or in your system, so that's a good thing as well. And it's an added abrasive to get that little bit of buildup off. If you're good about brushing your teeth all the time, then you really don't need the paste. But invest in a good brush. Using a manual toothbrush is one basic step. using the Oral-B Power Brush is the best thing you can do. So Oral-B is the most tested brush on the market, and I'm a fan of Sonicare, really any toothbrush as long as you're using it. But realistically, what I have on my counter is an Oral-B IO toothbrush. I'm not sponsored by Crest or anything like that. There's no kickbacks happening here, but that's also the brush that I sell in my office. And I sell it to you at cost, and Crest gives you a rebate back for that brush because it really is the best brush available. Change your brush heads out every 3 months, or after you get a cold or a virus that comes through, toss it out and get that new brush head. I just have mine on a monthly subscription coming direct from Crest because that's the cheapest place that I can get it. So Crest Oral-B brush. What is the best toothpaste? Boy, just about anything is fine as long as it has that ADA stamp of approval. In my office, we sell a very specific brand called Made by Dentists. And again, we sell it at the same price that you can buy it at Target, but you don't have to pay sales tax on it. So Made by Dentists, I think, is one of the best ones. It was invented by 2 female dentists out of Australia. And I love that company, the ingredients, the product testing, all of that meets my standards. So that's what I have as far as adults and kids toothpaste. So Made by Dentists is a phenomenal one. If you're not in Kansas City and you can't come to me to get it, go to Target. Almost every Target carries it at this point. It's just about to be sold on Amazon, so keep an eye out for it on Amazon. Made by Dentists. The one that I have on my counter right now is a sample from the Crest rep. That's the Crest 3D White. I think that's a fantastic toothpaste. There's I'm a Crest girl, so Crest with Scope tastes the best. That's the mintiest, and it gives you the freshest breath for the longest time. There's Crest Gum Health, which is fantastic as well. So yeah, you really can't go wrong as long as you're looking for that ADA seal of approval. Do you really have to floss? So you only have to floss the teeth that you want to keep, right? So yes, you really do have to floss. You do have to floss once a day is ideal, right before bedtime. So you're going to finish your dinner as usual. You're going to use your Oral-B Power Brush as usual, and then you're going to follow up with the floss. Okay, let me get a little cheeky again, okay? Not flossing is like wiping the cheeks and skipping the crack, right? And we don't do that. So make sure that you're wrapping your floss around your fingers, slide it in there, move it around from the angle of your tooth to the other side of your tooth, and then pop it back up. We want to get every little piece of bacteria and food that's trapped in there out of there. So yes, definitely floss. When you lose a tooth and there's a hole in your mouth, I get asked this a lot. What should I do next? Should I do a bridge? Should I do an implant? And a lot of people say, I want the cheaper option, which the less expensive option is usually going to be a bridge. So a bridge is like a fixed piece of ceramic where there's one part of it that's stuck on a tooth behind the space. There's one part of it stuck on the tooth in front of the space. And that open space where the missing tooth is spanned also by ceramic. So 3 pieces of ceramic that's one unit, and it's glued in place so it doesn't come in and out of your mouth. That's a fine option, and on average, it lasts about 10 to 15 years. The reason is, in that span where that fake tooth is, there's a little weak spot. And by weak spot, I mean a spot that's hard to access for your toothbrush, for your floss, for all your cleaning instruments. So that's usually the spot where somebody will get decay on their actual teeth that are remaining on either side of the space. If you get decay on either tooth that's holding the bridge, the entire bridge has to come out, and it's a loss. Doing a bridge involves 2 additional teeth, so it's taking a missing tooth problem and using 2 additional teeth, so it's using a 3-tooth solution. When you do an implant, it is slightly more expensive than doing a bridge, but an implant keeps a single tooth problem as a single tooth solution. So you get a titanium implant into your jawbone, you get a connector piece that goes on top, and then you get a crown that fits on top of all of that. So it looks and functions and feels just like a natural tooth. You brush it, you floss it just as normal. I always recommend a water flosser. I think a water flosser is a fantastic thing. So you can water floss it. You can literally do anything that you would do with a normal tooth on that implant. An implant in most people are 99.9% effective for your lifetime. So it's usually a lifelong solution, which is kind of nice, as opposed to the bridge being a 10 to 15 year solution. Okay, so depends on the type of filling that you're getting. So at my office, we don't do silver fillings. We do a different variety of tooth-colored fillings. So when I do a composite or a tooth-colored filling, that generally lasts 5 to 7 years. Your insurance company wants it to last at least 2 years before it needs replaced. So the reason a tooth-colored filling would fail is because acid reflux. If you have acid reflux usually while you're sleeping, or you eat and drink a lot of acidic things, then it tends to wear down a little bit faster. Or if you flex on that tooth, so if you're a clencher or a grinder, that's really something. A flexural force is what tooth color fillings don't like at all. So an example of that is when you get a bonded retainer, when you get a permanent retainer in there, sometimes they pop off because you grind on your teeth in the front there, you kind of go like that and you flex on that composite and it pops it right off. So usually if it's well done and you take care of your teeth, they're going to last you about 5 to 7 years. And that's actually getting better and better. So now composites are lasting closer to 10 years. Okay, laughing gas is something that I highly recommend. If you have any kind of fear coming into the office, come in and ask for the laughing gas. It's so inexpensive and it's so easy to do. You get to just lay back, put on this clown nose, and just inhale this gas that is only temporary. It's only in your system while you're in the dental office. When before you leave, before we even sit you up, we actually put you back on 100% oxygen, so you're back to normal. It's out of your system completely. It doesn't cause any long-term side effects. It doesn't cause any other drowsiness, so you can drive yourself to and from the office. And so ask for your laughing gas. It's a really good thing. Dentures need to be a last resort, kind of like pulling your teeth. We don't want to give you a denture unless we absolutely have to. Dentures are, realistically, they're plastic. Some dentures these days are made out of zirconia, which is a very strong material. We actually make crowns out of zirconia. Same family as a cubic zirconia, right? So very hard, and those are 3D printed. So even though you can get plastic or zirconia, they're still fake teeth. If you get the zirconia, they're very heavy, very strong, but very heavy. So you have to have multiple implants, usually 6 implants top and bottom, in order to support the weight of a zirconia denture. Most people, that's kind of pricey. That's like getting a Cadillac in your mouth. So most people opt for the plastic version where you can do 2 to 4 implants underneath that denture to hold it in place. But remember, it is plastic. So imagine if I asked you to put a set of dentures in your hands like this and bite into a taco or bite into a steak, it'd be very difficult to actually keep it in place and actually have the force enough to bite through with just 2 sets of plastic rubbing against each other. So should you get dentures in extreme situations where you have 5 teeth or less on each arch to support a different type of option, yes, you can get a denture, but I want you to always plan to get implants along with your denture. I hope this was enlightening. I hope this was helpful. I hope you had as much fun as I did going through these questions. If you have any more burning questions for your dentist, then feel free to write in and I'll be happy to answer. So thanks for joining us on this episode of What the Floss. I'll see you next time.
Floss, floss.